Vayomer Hashem al Moshe el Aharon lemor, and God speaks to Moshe and Aaron, saying, Ki yidaber alechem Paro lemor. When Paro will say to you as follows: Tenu lachem mofet, give a sign or a wonder for yourself. Amar tel Aaron, then you should say to Aaron, Kachet matcha. You should, again, we're doing with the signs with the stick. Take the stick, v'hashlech lifnei Paro, and throw it down before Paro, yilutanin, and it's going to become a snake. Vayavo Moshe Aaron el Paro, and Moshe and Aaron came before Paro, v'yasukin, and they did like this, kasher tiva Hashem, like God commanded, v'yashlech Aaron et matehu lifnei Paro, and Aaron threw down his stick before Paro, v'lifnei avadav, and before his servants, v'yihilutanin, and it became a serpent. Vayikra gam Paro lechachamim v'lemachashvim. So Paro calls to his wise men and his magicians. Vayasu gam heim chartumi mitzrayim, and so too, like the sorcerers of Egypt did that, belahatehem, with their like charms. And each one threw down their stick, and they became serpents. And then the Aaron's stick swallowed their sticks. Paro. And Paro's heart hardened, velo, or became strong, velo shama alehem, and he didn't listen to him, kasher diber Hashem, just as God had said. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, and God says to Moshe, kaved leiv Paro, Paro's lave is heavy, me'en l'shalach et ha'am, he has refused to send the nation. Lechal Paro, go to Paro baboker in the morning, hine yotzei hamayma, behold, he's going to go out to the water, v'nitzav talikretzo al tzvat hayor, and you're going to go stand there to greet him at the bank of the river. V'matah asher nepach lenachash tikach biadcha, and the snake that turned into, the stick that turned into a snake, take in your hands. And you should say to him, Hashem Elokei ha'ivrim shalchani elecha, God, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to you. Lemor, saying, Shalachat ami v'avduni b'midbar, sent out my nation so they could serve me in the desert. V'hine lo shamata ad ko, and behold, you didn't listen until now. Kol mar Hashem, so has said Hashem, b'zo teda, with this you should know, ki ani Hashem, that I am God. Hine anochi makeb b'mateh asher b'yadi al hamayim, behold, I am going to take my stick and hit that's in my hand, and hit the water, asher b'yor, that's in the river, v'nefchu l'dam. So very similar to the other signs, right? And we're going to hit, and the water of the Nile is going to become blood. V'adagasher b'yor tamut, and the fish that are in the river are going to die. Uba'ash hayor, and the river is going to get smelly. And the Egyptians will be weary from trying to drink water from the river. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, and God said to Moshe, Emor el Aharon, so we're starting the place, say to Aharon, Kach matcha, take your stick, uneteadcha al meimei Mitzrayim, and stretch your hand out over the waters of Egypt, al naharotam al yaorehem, on their rivers and tributaries, val agmehem, and their ponds, val komik v'meimehem, all of the gatherings of water, v'yiludam, and it's going to become blood. V'yad dam b'chol eretz Mitzrayim, and it'll be blood over the whole lands of Egypt, ubaitzim uba'avanim, and their trees and their stones. Vayasu kein Moshe v'Aaron kasher tiva Hashem, and Moshe and Aaron did like God commanded. Vayarem b'mateh, and they lifted the stick. And he hit the water that was in the river, Paro, in front of the eyes of Paro, in front of the eyes of his servants. And all of the water that was in the river turned into blood. Asher Bayor, and the fish that were in the river Meta died, just like it said, Vayivash Hayor, and the Nile was smelly, and so they couldn't drink water from the river. The Egyptians, and instead there was blood over the whole land of Egypt. And the astrologers of Egypt did the same with their magic tricks. Vayachazak leiv Paro, and Paro's heart hardened, v'lo shama, or got strong, v'lo shama aleihem kasher diber Hashem, and didn't listen to them, just like Paro had said, God had said. Vayifen Paro, and Paro turned, vayavo beito, and he went to his house, v'lo shat libo gam lazot, and he didn't pay attention, he didn't place his heart even to this. Vayachbru kol Mitzrayim svivot hayor mayin lishtot, and so the rest of Egypt was looking all around the Nile River, they're like digging for water, ki lo yachlu lishtot mimei hayor, because they weren't gonna be able to drink from the waters of the river. And so they filled 7 days. And it was until from the time that God smote the river. And God said to Moshe, Bo el Paro, go to Paro, va'amarte elav, and you should say to him, Kol amar Hashem, so has said God, Shalachat ami v'yavduni, sent out my nation, and they are going to serve me. Ve'imma einat ha'l'shaleach, but if you refuse to send, hinei anochi nogef et kol gvulcha b'tzfardeim. So we're starting the second plague. If you refuse to send them out, I'm going to plague all of your borders with frogs. V'sharat hayor tzfardeim, and the river will swarm with frogs. Va'alu, and they're going to come up, ubav veitecha, and they're going to come in your houses. B'char dar mishkavecha, in your bedrooms, and in your beds, and in the house of your servants, and your nation, and in your ovens, and in your mixing bowls, and you and your nation and all your servants, the frogs are going to come up. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, and God said to Moshe, and Moral Aaron, say to Aaron, stretch your hand with your stick, al hane'arot al hayorim v'halagamim, again over the rivers and the tributaries and the ponds, v'halat hatzvardim al eretz Mitzrayim, and bring up these frogs on the land of Egypt. Vayet Aaron et yado al mimei Mitzrayim, and Aaron stretched out his hand over the rivers of Egypt. Vatal hatzvardea, and the frog came up at Techas at Eretz Mitzrayim and covered the land of Egypt. And again, the magicians come along and they do it with their tricks. And they brought up the frogs over the whole land of Egypt. Vayikra Paro Moshe Aaron, and Paro called to Moshe and Aaron, Vayomer, and he said, Ha'atiru el Hashem, pray to God, V'yaser hatzvardim mimenu me'ami, and he should remove these frogs from me and my nation, V'ashalcha ta'am, and I can send out the nation as b'chul Hashem, and you can bring sacrifices to your God. So he's finally starting to cave a little bit. Vayomer Moshe leParo, and Moshe said to Paro, Hitpa'er alai, glorify yourself for me, L'mataya atir lecha, for exactly when should I pray for this? And for your servants and your nation. To cut away the frogs from you, and from your house. They'll just stay in the river where they belong. Vayomer, and he said, L'machar, for tomorrow. Vayomer, and he said, Kidvarcha, like your word, L'man teda, in order that you should know, Ki ein kashem Elokeinu, that there's no one like our God, Hashem.